Sitchin concludes, quote, that mankind's progression from Paleolithic, that is Stone Age, to Mesolithic, Stone Age, to Neolithic, Stone Age, and then the great Sumerian civilization that occurred in intervals of about 3,600 years is a fact. That Anu visited Earth or proved the grant of a civilization that is known, knowledge, science, and technology. Nibiru returns every 3,600 years. The supposed home of creators, ancient Sumerian Anunnaki gods. Well, we've had various scientists and even NASA astronauts claiming that they believe that aliens, space aliens from this planet system, do return to the Earth every so often. Is there any evidence of this? Caltech scientists say that there must be a very huge planet somewhere in the limits of our solar system, but let's see if we do have any evidence of this up to now. Nibiru, inbound, returning every 3,600 years, the home of creators. The creators, ancient Sumerian Anunnaki gods. They believed that this is the home of the creators, called ancient Anunnaki. Ancient Code reports it's believed that several ancient Sumerian texts describe quote-unquote creator gods who came from an unknown planet called Nibiru, or Planet X, a planet which enters and leaves Earth's solar system in cycles of 3,600 years. This planet is believed to be the home of our creators, the legend says, the ancient Anunnaki. Currently, when you search about Nibiru, you will encounter numerous claims and hoaxes which detail how a massive planet called Nibiru will one day collide with Earth. Even scientists are saying this, even researchers are lately saying this. The truth, however, goes far beyond that. According to several authors like Zecharia Sitchin, Nibiru in Babylonian or Sumerian astronomy is translated to planet of the crossing, to point of transition. While many websites report that Nibiru is nothing more than a hoax, the truth is that a planet called Nibiru is mentioned and described in detail in the 5th tablet of the Enuma Elish, as translated by Zecharia Sitchin. Nibiru is a planet mentioned in the work of the controversial author Zecharia Sitchin, which has gathered much mentioning among ufologists, conspiracy theorists, and ancient astronaut theories. Nibiru is a planet mentioned in the work of Zecharia Sitchin. He is, of course, a controversial author. Nothing has been proven yet, which has gathered much attention among ufologists. As we said, according to his claims, through the interpretation of ancient Sumerian texts, there is conclusive evidence that mankind was created by an advanced alien civilization, he says, from a distant planet in our solar system called Nibiru. But Zecharia Sitchin's work regarding Nibiru lies mostly in the astronomical interpretation of the Enuma Elish, which is an ancient creation mythology. It's a legend. Sitchin replaces the names of gods with planets. So why are Sitchin's works bombarding people, bombarded by skeptics? Well, mostly because Sitchin's evidence lies mostly in his own translations and not on scholarly agreed interpretations. It's whatever he translates them as being. This is why most of his work, therefore even Nibiru, remained as nothing more than a pseudoscience. Zecharia Sitchin described Nibiru, according to Sumerian cosmology, as the 12th planet. Well, of course, he claims that even the moon is one of the planets. That's why this is the 12th planet. Nibiru is home to an alien race, he says, called the Anunnaki, an extreme advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Nibiru is also called Marduk, he says, and it arrives at our solar system with an extreme clockwise elliptical orbit. Curiously, though, astronomers today are firmly convinced that our solar system has many more planets that remain undiscovered beyond the orbit of Neptune. One of those planets, referred to as Planet X, Planet 10, or X, is believed to be a huge, massive planet, much larger than Earth. Some say 6 times larger, some say 10 times larger. But getting back to Nibiru, the cuneiform symbol used to describe Nibiru was often a cross, or various winged discs. But that's not all. In addition to all this, the ancient Babylonians, Nibiru was a celestial body, they say, associated with the god Marduk. Marduk is an Akkadian word whose translation has still not been defined by academics. Sitchin concluded that Nibiru is a massive planet with an extremely elliptic orbit around our sun. Nibiru is said to have an orbital period of about 2,700 years, and Sitchin claims that Nibiru was the home, or still is the home, that is, of the ancient Anunnaki who allegedly came to Earth in search of gold to repair the damaged atmosphere of Nibiru. While Sitchin's work is heavily criticized, evidence of such a massive planet in the outermost edges of our solar system has been found. It's a new discovery by astronomers from Caltech in 2016. And they call it Planet 9 instead of calling it Planet X, so that they don't get people wired up. They're calling it Planet 9. And it tilts the sun. Caltech astronomers say it has effects on our solar system. These two Caltech astronomers are Mike Brown and Konstantin Batygin, and also Elizabeth Bailey. And they discussed this on the 48th meeting of the Division for Planetary Science. In fact, based on numerous simulations and perturbances present in the orbits of dwarf planets in our solar system, experts believe a vast alien world 10 times the mass of Earth is definitely located beyond the orbit of our Pluto. On July 13, 1987, an article appeared in Newsweek magazine where NASA is said to have disclosed the possibility that there might be a 10th planet orbiting our sun. According to NASA research scientist John Anderson, Planet X might actually be out there, but nowhere near our planets, just outside of our planets. The article from Newsweek states, quote, "If he is right, two of the most intriguing puzzles of space science might be solved. What causes mysterious irregularities in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune during the 19th century? And what killed off the dinosaurs 26 million years ago?" End quote. However, evidence of such a planet existing can be traced back to a very interesting article in the Historical Journal of 1988 by R. Harrington, who wrote that a planet 3 or 4 times the size of Earth existed, having a position of 3 or 4 times further from the Sun than Pluto. According to mathematical models that were presented, it is believed that Planet X, or Nibiru, has an extremely elliptical orbit of 30 degrees. An article from AP written in October 23, 1996 stated that a new planet that breaks all the rules about how and where planets form has been identified in orbit of a twin star about 70 light years from Earth in a constellation commonly known as the Northern Cross. The new planet has a roller coaster-like orbit that swoops down close to its central star and then swings far out into frigid fringes, following a strange egg-shaped orbit that is unlike that of any other known planet. Furthermore, according to a team of researchers from California Institute of Technology, Caltech, the unusual tilt of the sun could be attributed to this massive, undiscovered planet that is lurking at the edge of our solar system. So it's so huge, it even has an effect on our sun, which is supposedly in the interior of our solar system. So if it has an effect on our sun, you can imagine what effect it has on the planets of our solar system. While the above quoted article suggests it's possible that there might be a rogue planet in the outermost edges of our solar system, suggesting that it is Nibiru, is far-fetched. In fact, if there is any evidence of Nibiru, then that evidence is based on personal interpretations of a heavily criticized author. Not that we're saying Nibiru does or does not exist. There are some things in history that just don't add up at all. If we look back to the creation of man, the appearance of the first civilization, the first alphabet, the language, and we find huge gaps that mainstream scholars still are not able to fill. While most articles out there relate to Nibiru are descriptions of hoaxes, very few articles offer insight into what Nibiru could or could not be. In the last decades, we have come to accept that Nibiru is ever so present in the alternative literature, yet we have failed to understand anything about Nibiru. It could be the result of misinterpretations of an author, but there could also be evidence that this type of a planet, at least similar in description, may actually exist somewhere in the outer edges of our solar system. This is what's causing perturbation and tilts to our sun, for example. Evidence of Nibiru is said to be present in ancient texts. A quote from Pomponius Mela, a Latin author of the 1st century, says this, quote, "The Egyptians pride themselves on being the most ancient people in the world. In their authentic annals, one may read that since they have been in existence, the course of the stars has changed direction 4 times, and that the sun has set twice in that part of the sky where it rises today." The second book of his history, Herodotus, relates his conversations with Egyptian priests on his visit to Egypt sometime during the second half of the 1st century before the present era. Concluding that history of their people, the priests told him that the period following their first king covered 341 generations, and Herodotus calculated that 3 generations being equal to a century, that is, just about every 35 years, is a generation. The whole period was over 11,000 years. The priests asserted that within historical ages, and since Egypt became a kingdom, quote, 4 times in this period, so they told me, the sun rose contrary to his wont. Twice he rose where he now sets, and twice he set where he now rises, end quote. And also we find more written evidence in the Bible where it says, quote, "From a faraway land they came, from the end point of heaven, to do the Lord and his weapons of wrath come to destroy the whole earth. Therefore will I agitate the heaven, and earth shall be shaken out of its place, when the Lord of hosts shall be crossing the day of his burning wrath." End quote. This is in Isaiah 13:1. And Zecharia Sitchin concludes, quote, "that mankind's progression from Paleolithic, that is Old Stone Age, to Mesolithic, Middle Stone Age, to Neolithic, New Stone Age, and then the great Sumerian civilization had occurred in intervals of about 3,600 years is a fact. That Anu visited Earth, approved the grant of civilization, that is knowledge, science, and technology, to mankind, marked by the start of the calendar in Nippur in 3760 BC, which is still the Hebrew or Jewish calendar, is certain as far as we're concerned. But as we try to explain recent seminars, not yet in a full-length book, the author says here, the visits to Earth and the nearing at what is called perihelion of Nibiru, that is coming close to the sun of Nibiru, do not coincide. This is a point of immense significance, which those who have only read the first book somehow ignore. It's said that Nibiru will appear from the North Pole of the Sun and Earth, which will make the alien world widely seen in the Northern Hemisphere. And our conclusion is it's hard to understand much about Nibiru. There's simply not enough evidence to support that an alien world like it exists in the utmost reaches of our solar system, while it's likely that a planet of similar proportions lays hidden somewhere out there, as scientists have stated, until we actually manage to see the world with our telescopes. All theories are possible, I guess, but by the time we see it with our telescopes, it's going to be too late, baby, too late for Earth. So do we believe that we aren't the only intelligent civilization in the cosmos, or do we believe that it's likely that mankind has been visited by beings not from Earth since time immemorial? Whether or not these beings are from Nibiru is an entirely different thing. This is on Ancient Code. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.